What is going on, Patriots fans, and welcome back to a Mock Draft Monday. I'm sorry I missed last week. I was feeling sick, did not have the energy, and honestly did not have the voice that would sound good enough to record one. So we skipped last week. Sorry about that, but we are back. Mock Draft Monday, episode 13. There's not much time. We're less than a month away, so we are going to be getting into more specific what I would do, what I think will happen, more specific mock drafts based off of what I like, who I like, and scenarios that I think could happen for the Patriots, a little bit more specific. So appreciate all the support. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts on this mock draft. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Are you tired of trying to find the best deals on tickets to your favorite events, concert, and games? Then SeatGeek is the answer. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. You can find the best deals thanks to their app and website showing you what prices are good and bad. And now you can use code PatriotsDrive for $20 off your purchase. So go ahead and get those tickets you've been eyeing because you don't want to miss out. All right, let's start this mock draft. I'm not doing any trades today. I'm just going to talk about one scenario that I like. Obviously, a couple players, and I want to talk about, more position of needs now that free agency has been done, where I think they could go. Starting off, I want to talk about a guy that I'm really high on, and I know some people might not be, some people might be. It seems 50-50. Tetarioa McMillan for me is a guy that I love if Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are off the board. I think that he is so good. What he does for a 6'4" plus guy at 219 pounds. He had 27 plus receiving yards over the last 2 years. He forced 29 missed tackles last year, which was tied for third amongst receivers. He had 18 contested catches. In 2023, he had the lowest drop rate amongst wide receivers with 100 plus targets. It was 2%. He had an 89.1 grade versus man coverage this year, which was fourth amongst receivers. And if you look at what he's done since 2023, excuse me, sorry, he had a 90.5 PFF grade, which was third, 173 receptions, which was second, 2,712 yards, which was the most in college football since 2023, 35 contested catches, which was most, and 17 explosive plays, which was most. That is above 15 or more yards. For a guy that's 6'4", 219 pounds, I just don't think that they should be able to move as good as he does. He's super athletic. Where he makes his money is in between the hashes, and I think that that's where Josh McDaniels, Drake Maye want to attack defenses. He plucks the ball out of the air. He is a great hands catcher. He doesn't let it get into his body. He uses his long arms and wingspans. Yard after the catch is another thing that a lot of people want to say, oh, he's bigger. He doesn't do. He had 430 yards after the catch. That was 45 less than Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter had 11 more receptions than Tetarioa McMillan. So you talk about a guy that was elite at it for some people. Tetarioa McMillan was right behind him there. He attacks the ball in the air. He comes back to it. He's quarterback friendly. He doesn't wait for it there. He reportedly ran anywhere between a 4.48 and a 4.53 40-yard dash at his pro day. Even if it's a 4.53, that's vast enough for this guy. He can stack receivers. He gets up to speed. I have no problem with his vertical ability. Does he have some separation issues at the line of scrimmage? I don't think it's as bad as some people do. You're not going to expect him to separate like you would a Travis Hunter, like you would a Mega Buka, a bigger, a smaller guy. I think he still has the ability to separate. Obviously with his good foot speed, he's a big physical guy. He can get off the line of scrimmage. His drop rate increased this year. It was 7.7%. I would like to see his official 40. Everyone's going to comment it because then there came out tweets that were like, oh, it was actually 4.58 or 4.6. I want to see his official one. I believe the report somewhere in the 4.48 to the 4.53 range. That's what most of the scouts got. That's what I believe. Even if it's 4.53, that's good enough for me. So really do like Tetarioa McMillan. I think him with Stefon Diggs would change the passing attack for Drake Maye and Josh McDaniels. Moving on to the edge. Okay, let's address the edge too. Now, I know Harold Landry got a couple guys that can rush the passer, obviously adding Milton Williams in there too. Landon Jackson is a big physical run stuffer that I think fits in Mike Vrabel's type of defense. He's 6'6" on the dot, 264 pounds, super explosive. He jumped 40.5 inches. He had a broad jump of 10'9". Those were both in the 99th percentile for a guy his size. His arm length is good. You talk about offensive line arm length being above 33. Well, he had 33 and a quarter-inch arms, which is really good. So he has the ability to have leverage. He had 14 sacks the last 2 years, an elite 88.8 run defense grade on PFF. Great NFL size, physical in the run game at the point of attack, like Mike Vrabel's going to want. Length that helps him set the edge, helps him press defensive or offensive linemen off of him. High motor, super active hands to beat offensive linemen when they do try to get their hands on him. The cons, he's not an elite pass rusher. He's got a little bit of choppy movements, a little bit robotic. He can't really drop his pad level. Obviously, being 6'6", you don't really expect it, but he doesn't drop and have that elite bend. And he lacks a little bit of acceleration and elite athleticism other than, his explosion and things like that. So a little bit more of a run stuffer, which obviously Harold Landry kind of is. So maybe he can be a guy that sits behind Harold Landry, and Harold Landry can mentor a little bit. You get an edge rusher there that's played good football in the SEC and does a lot of really good things there also. Addressing the offensive line a little bit in the third round, Marcus Membo. This is a guy who's 6'4", 303 pounds. He has 32-inch arms. He played mostly tackle. He did play 700 snaps at right guard, but 1,100 at right tackle. So he has the position versatility. He's going to move in eventually. This dude is elite in space. His athleticism is off the charts. Super light feet. You want him in the outside zone screen type of game when he can get out on the edge. He's bigger than corners, bigger than safeties. He can eat them up with his athleticism, get on him. He mirrors super easily with his good footwork, gets to his spots quickly in pass pro. The one thing about him is you're talking about moving him inside. He's more of an interior guy at the NFL level, in my opinion. He's got a super slim build. For as tall as he is, he looks really skinny. He could be under 300 pounds. He was listed at 303, and that's what he came in as. But he looks like he could put more weight on. He needs to do that. He doesn't anchor very well, and that's a concern with bigger interior guys blitzing through his face. Can he hold up? That would be my concern of bumping him inside. A lot of people say maybe he could be a center. Obviously, if that was what he came in for the Patriots, you wouldn't really want to do that because you just signed Garrett Bradbury. So if he could play left guard or something, that would be a little bit more ideal there. And he does miss with his strike sometimes. He does get a little bit of wide hands on the shoulder pads of defensive linemen. So that can be kind of a concern at times also. But a really good athlete, someone that you want in your offense because of the mismatches he can bring, what he can do scheme-wise, super elite in that category. Going to the tight end position, the tight end class is actually very underrated. I think that it's better than some people actually think it is. Excuse me again. Sorry, guys. Still getting over a cough a little bit, but Terrence Ferguson, 6'5" and 3/8, 247 pounds. He ran the fastest 40 amongst tight ends at the combine, which was a 4.63. He had a 39-inch vert. He has the 5th most yards after the catch per reception at 9, which is very, very good. Good size and length, great athleticism. Obviously, with the testing numbers you see there, he's fast. He can stretch an offense. I think he's an H type of receiver. I think or a tight end. I think he fits around what Hunter Henry can do, and even Austin Hooper. You can use him sliding, slide routes, winning off of the ball, RPO stuff. If you're doing RPO split zone things, and you're not going to do a ton of that in the NFL, but still, he gives you that element. He's obviously a yard after the catch threat with the 9.0 yards after the catch per reception. Super good catch radius. He wins off the line of scrimmage because of how explosive he is. He can be mismatches for a lot of different positions, safety or linebacker. Needs to add a little bit more weight to be an effective inline blocker. That right now, I don't see him being a guy that can put his hand in the dirt. Not an established route runner. He's very athletic, but he doesn't, have crisp routes. He only had a 25% contested catch percentage, which is not great for his size. And I think some of that is because he just doesn't really attack the ball in the air very well. So another guy that's can bring something to the offense, a little bit bigger than a Jaheim Bell type guy at 6'5". He can stretch the seam. He is obviously elite athletically and had a really good film at Oregon. So it'd be interesting to see if they do want to target a tight end because Hunter Henry could be out after next year. Same with Austin Hooper. So we'll see how that kind of works there in a little bit of a deeper tight end class in the 2025 NFL draft. Let's go back to tackle. Okay, this guy's a true tackle. Now, there's going to be some concerns here. His RAS score, which is relative athletic score for those of you guys that don't know, they obviously put in the size, put in the testing numbers, and they say, you know, how good of an athlete he is, things like that, compared to everyone that's ever done the combine. Tons of data there. It's not great. He's 6'7.25", which is elite. That's the size you want as an offensive tackle. 316 pounds. He needs to add more weight. He has the frame to put on more weight, but he needs to do that. He has 34-inch arms, so he meets the threshold. He's going to be an offensive tackle. This is a guy who, across 5 years in college football, has played a ton of right tackle and left tackle, over 300 snaps to be exact. He played at both San Diego State and Florida, but he just lacks a little bit of, not a little bit, he lacks a lot of athleticism. He was a 5'3", 440 guy at 24.5 vertical and 8 foot broad. All those, you know, the jumping numbers I just read are in like the 19th percentile, the 5'3", 40s in the 40th percentile. But there's been a lot of guys, Trent Brown, that excuse me, it comes on at random times. There's been a couple guys that have tested this bad and have had good success in the NFL. And because of his length, because of his size, you see that he has the ability to be a potentially good offensive tackle. He's older. He's more experienced. He's very intelligent. You can tell he knows how to use his length. He's very patient with his punch. He doesn't reach and overextend. He doesn't use both hands if he doesn't have to. He understands his independent hand usage. He uses it at good times. He throws it very well. Maybe the 4th round's a little bit too early for him because of the lack of athleticism, but because of the size, maybe it's not. It'll be interesting to see how NFL teams value that. He gets beat with speed a lot. You know, obviously with the lack of athleticism, the footwork is not quite there, the foot speed. That'd be one concern. But if you're talking NFL frame alone and stuff, this is what you're looking for in a tackle. So you could take a Marcus Membo, move him inside, take a Brandon Crenshaw Dickerson, and then now you have, or Dixon, and then now you have a guy that can at least compete on the outside, you know, with Caden Wallace or potentially wherever else they put him. So another offensive lineman there. And then the last position, Danny Stutzman, a linebacker out of Oklahoma. This is an interesting one, right? Linebacker might not be something people think about. Obviously, adding Robert Spillane and a couple other guys. They did just cut Jawan Bentley, so we'll see what their plan is there. Danny Stutzman, 6'3.25", 233 pounds. He ran a 4.52 40, which was in the 96th percentile. He had an elite 90.9 run defense grade, which was very high up there in the linebacker. One of the tops in the country. He's a modern NFL linebacker with size, sideline to sideline ability. He plays downhill. Kind of reminds me of Robert Spillane in a way. Like, he's physical. He runs downhill. He's gonna hit you. Really good in the run. He actually brings some pass rushing ability. The concern is he was not good at all in pass coverage. He was like a 40.9 PFF grade. He does not know how to find routes in zone coverage. He oftentimes gets lost. Guys get behind him. They're able to complete him. Poor awareness, in the zone, things like that. He does have a little bit of wide hands when he comes down to strike interior offensive linemen or get off blocks, but he's physical. He's fast. He plays downhill. Seems like a guy that, hey, Mike Vrabel might want to invest in, might want to have him in the defense. And as a 5th round pick, you're looking at special teams value too. Danny Stutzman's going to bring that. He's going to run down on kickoff. He's going to be able to block on kickoff return, do a bunch of other things, and he's going to be a rotational linebacker. So interesting pick there. The other position I kind of looked at there, was obviously looking at the running back spot with how deep of a class this is, but I've talked about a bunch of them. So I will get back to drafting a running back, but wanted to draft a linebacker in this spot. So here is my mock draft 13. Again, a little bit more of, a little bit more of a defined look because we know who the Patriots have signed. There might be one or two more signings. It's reported that they're around 60 plus million in cap space right now. But after, they have to do their free agent sign or their draft signing and stuff, they'll be probably around the upper 30s, 35 plus million. So we'll see how that works out for them. They have a little bit more wiggle room to maybe go get a tackle or one more interior offensive lineman. So we'll see how that affects it. But as of right now, if Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter are off the board at pick 4, Tetarioa McMillan's probably my number one option there if we can't trade out. Ideally, you have a option to trade out, but if not, I love what Tetarioa McMillan brings as an X receiver. I think that Diggs would be able to take some off of him too with how good of a route runner he is. And then obviously you're working the slot with guys like Demario Douglas, if Kendrick Bourne's still here, and then hopefully Jalen Polk and Javon Baker and Booty can continue to come along there. And then, adding in the trenches, Mike Vrabel wants to build this. You saw it with Milton Williams, Morgan Moses, Garrett Bradbury. A lot of guys that he signed early were tone setters, physical guys, and in the front seven, Harold Landry, guys like that. So really like those positions. So make sure you guys let me know in the comments below your thoughts, what you would change, what you would do differently if you had this mock draft, who you like, who you don't like. And then next week, I'll come back with another mock draft. We'll be live at some point, trying to do mock drafts with special guests, other Patriots creators, things like that. And then obviously ourselves and talking more draft stuff. So thank you for all the support. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.